So we learned a few hours ago that the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his former defense minister, and Hamas officials as well, accusing all of them of war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. For more, I want to welcome back into the show former Undersecretary of Defense and former Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Robert Wilkie. Mr. Secretary, it's worth noting to our viewers at home that Israel has rejected the jurisdiction of the ICC. The court does not have its own police force to even carry out arrests. So in reality, what does this mean? And can anything really come of this?
Well, yeah, first of all, this points to the absolute travesty that is the United Nations. I mean, if Israel didn't exist, the United Nations would go out of business. The prosecutor, Khan, is a protege of the current Secretary General. There are 124 signatories to the Rome Treaty. In theory, this would mean that of those 124 countries, Benjamin Netanyahu would not be allowed to travel to those countries, including, I think, 25 in Western and Eastern Europe. But let's point again just how sad and ridiculous this is. They say they're even-handed because they issued a death warrant for Mohammed Daouf of Hamas. Well, he's been dead for quite a while. That's how ludicrous this is, and I think the new Republican Senate will go a long way toward defunding the part of the ICC the funding that comes from U.S. contributions to the world body.
That makes sense. What does it say of the ICC to put Netanyahu and known terrorists like Hamas on the same level with these war crimes?
Well, I mean, that tells you what the UN is about. I mentioned that if you look at the UN Human Rights Council, 80% of its business is Israel. And this is a council that is dominated by the likes of Venezuela, China, Russia, Iran. The United Nations, forgive me for being blunt, has become a sewer. It is the home for every despot on the planet. It is anti-American. It is anti-West. And the sooner we ignore its pronouncements, I think, the better. And remember, the United States provides, I think, the last time I read this figure, was 45% of the funding for the world body. Wow. It's nonsensical. And always remember that a platoon of American soldiers has done more for world peace than all the UN agencies combined. So, you know, that's America. That should be America's statement.
Yeah, and you mentioned the now Republican-controlled United States Senate, and Senator Lindsey Graham just a few minutes ago called out the court, saying it's a dangerous joke and that they should be sanctioned by the Senate. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. We should curtail funding. We should sanction, I think, the likes of the prosecutor and several of these judges, because remember, they're silent in 7 languages when Russia engages in the mass slaughter of Ukrainians. They say nothing about the Chinese imprisoning millions of Muslims in their country. They say nothing about the depredations of the African dictators on their own people. It's usually the United States and Israel. And I remember, because I worked for someone who was supposed to be arrested by the ICC. I worked for Donald Rumsfeld. They issued warrants for him as well when he was Secretary of Defense.
Robert Wilkie, always great to talk with you. Thank you so much for breaking that down for me this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Charlotte.